Okay, welcome, ladies. This is Claire Luffman, and thanks so much for coming to this free complimentary webinar. We're going to talk about how you can get a year's worth of results in just 90 days. So let's do that. Let's just set the world on fire. And I know that there are some of you that I know, a lot of people that are already in my community who signed up for the webinar, but a lot of the folks that look like have called in live, some of these names are new. So just real quick, you might be wondering, who is this Claire character, and how did I find out about this webinar? Just real quick, I've always been in training. I've taken my corporate experiences, 15-plus years in corporate training and human resources and coaching, and actually got my master's degree down here in North Carolina State University in adult education. And then I also, probably about 10 years ago, was when I first dipped my toe into the entrepreneurial world. And I actually had my own Mary Kay cosmetics business, and I was a sales director. And all of that was great, but really what brought me to this passion of what I'm doing now, is I had a couple of life experiences that truly ended up being the biggest blessing, as crazy as it may sound. About 7 years ago, my son was just born. He was about 3 months old, and I was diagnosed with super advanced breast cancer, like not very good chances of survival because of how advanced it was, how much it had spread, the type of cancer it was. So, went through a year and a half of treatments of a mastectomy and multiple surgeries and tons of chemotherapy and radiation. But really what that did is that created this desire, like deep in my belly, that life is short. And I so wanted to be that wife and that mom and that Christian woman that I desired to be. And I know that those of you on the webinar don't know me back when, if you will. Back when I was in the corporate world. And I'm not going to talk negatively about the corporate world because, to be honest, I really felt like I was blessed. Like I always felt like I had great jobs and wonderful managers, and I was able to move up very quickly. So I'm not going to talk negatively, but the burning desire, it was like, you know what, I want to get back in the home. I want to be in the home. And again, if those of you who would have known me then, it just sounds so archaic for me to say, like I want to get in the home. But that's what I want. That is so what I wanted. And I said, you know what, I know there's other women like me as well. So I actually couple that experience and have wanted to then dedicate my life, which is what I've done now, to help other women and moms who want to do the same thing. And I don't know what your reason is for wanting to have an incredibly successful business. Like for me, when I then had that burning desire to get back in the home, my husband is a high school teacher here in North Carolina, and I know that teacher salaries range dramatically, but in North Carolina, we are like the second lowest, and they get paid hardly anything. And then you add to it that they haven't received an increase in like 7 years. And so the reality was, if I was to stay home, we wouldn't even be able to pay the bills with my husband's income. So able to stay home, it was which is wonderful. That's a career in and of itself. But I needed to provide significantly. I was the primary breadwinner. And it wasn't just, for me to make an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month. It's more that, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So I don't know what your reason might be, but I know there's lots of women who can relate, who want their own business, who want that flexibility, who want to be home for whatever reason that might be. And when I was doing it within the Mary Kay community, it was just for Mary Kay business owners, right? And I was like, I want to help everyone. I want to help women that are growing any type of business all across the United States. So this business came out of that cancer experience. So it was God's plan, and he always knows better than me. But my differentiating factor now, my forte is to really help the service-based women entrepreneurs. So I work with a lot of coaches and consultants and healers and mentors and help them learn how to authentically package and market their expertise. And what I want to do is I go beyond information. So I don't sell like information products or those types of things. I want these ladies to get into action, like get to work, implement, in a very supportive environment, right? Loving mentoring, but I want to get them results in the quickest, easiest way, and I do that through my signature 12-week fast-track mentoring, where I want them to, double or triple their list, have their marketing plan up and running, have their offer, their irresistible offer up and running, actually converting folks' client leads into new paying clients. So we want to get them those results quick. But my forte, too, is to get a heck of a lot done in part-time hours. A lot of my clients, not all of them, but a lot of my clients are mompreneurs, and they are wanting to grow their business around their family. So for me, it's real important that I work just while my son is at school. So right now I work from about 9 to 3:30, and I want to get a lot done in part-time hours. So that's just a passion of mine. I help my clients with that, absolutely. But it's just a passion of mine. I'm sure a lot of you want to do the same thing, right? You want to go out and enjoy life. So anyway, you signed up for this webinar for some reason. I mean, there's some reason why you do want to get more done in the next 3 months, like results-wise, than it takes most businesswomen in an entire year. And again, you can actually achieve more results by doing less work, which is, I think, very appealing when we can realize that. Oh my gosh, how freeing is that? But anyway, I want to see where you relate. I'm actually going to open up the chat function now too, so feel free to go ahead and chat which of these people you can relate to. But this is Frustrated Fran. So tell me if you can relate to Frustrated Fran. She's just like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. I mean, I knew that growing a business would take some time, but oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm working, and not seeing the results. That consistent income is just not there. So if you can relate to Frustrated Fran, let me know. And this is Busy Bertha. I mean, Busy Bertha. She is like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Their phone is ringing, and I'm getting more emails, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I'm running. That's how Busy Bertha feels. So let me know if you can relate. Type in the chat function. This is Overwhelmed Olivia. She's like, oh my gosh, I just don't know where to start. I am almost like paralyzed. I am so overwhelmed. I feel like things are slipping through the cracks. I just don't even know where to start. So let me know if you can relate to Overwhelmed Olivia. And don't be shy, you ladies. I see lots of you in here, and no one's is chatting. So go ahead and no shame in that game. Who do you resonate with? So this is Overwhelmed Olivia. Or can you relate to, this is actually Comfortable Connie, where she's like, you know what, I think I'm just going to hang out behind the scenes. I'm just going to get my logo just right. I'm going to get my tagline perfect. All right, great. Carol, Overwhelmed Olivia, wonderful. She's just going to focus more on the behind-the-scenes stuff, right, and not really focusing as, getting those new clients, right? We're just going to, this Comfortable Connie, she is reorganizing her office again. She's getting organized again. She's hanging out on social media. She is on top of her emails. So, and Esther actually sounds like she can't hear anything. So let me type in. Let me help Esther. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay. Click on the green mic speakers button. If I can type. Button or call in. The number is at the top. So I'll keep on going, but if anyone too is over there and can help Esther make sure she's able to hear, that would be great. And the sound will obviously be perfect on the recording as well. But anyway, this is Comfortable Connie, and a lot of people, this is where they're at, right? And they feel busy because they're working, right? Their emails are clean and they know everything that's going on social media, but are they working on the right things? And this is, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I want to create a blog. Oh my gosh, I want to have a LinkedIn profile. Oh my gosh, I want to do that. Oh my gosh, I want to do that. And oh my gosh, I want to do that. This is Sidetracked Susan. And again, she feels busy, right? She's doing a lot of work, but is it getting her business where she wants it to be? That's key. So what we want to do, I mean, all of those all of those profiles, like Frustrated Fran and Busy Bertha and Overwhelmed Olivia and Comfortable Connie and Sidetrack Susan. Okay, great. Yep, Sidetrack Susan. People can totally relate to that. It's like that shiny object syndrome. And what we want to do is realize there's blessings in all of that. So, but let's just lasso it in a little bit, right? Let's use our creative strengths to our advantage. So if we can lasso it in a bit every 3 months, every 90 days, and really figure out what it is important to do and what you don't need to do, and really just figure out what your business most needs. And for each of us, like everyone on the call, you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all goal process, right? Not everyone's going to have the same goals. It doesn't make sense. It really depends on you and where you want your business to be and what your business most needs. And what your business most needs each 90 days could be very different. So how do you learn that? How do you really figure out how to lasso this in, right? How to use our creative strengths and our energies and our motivation and our desire and our passion to our advantage. So let's go ahead and talk about this a bit. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how to easily and strategically plan out your next 90 days so you can achieve a year's worth of results in just 3 months' time. And we're going to talk about how you can actually achieve more by doing less. And then how do you consistently keep your laser focus, right? Say goodbye to that shiny object syndrome, right? That sidetrack Susan that so many of us can relate to. And one of the reasons we can relate to it as well, so those who said sidetrack Susan, I mean, it's probably because you have lots of great ideas, right? As an entrepreneur, we are blessed with creative ideas. So again, it's sort of how do we lasso that and not see that as a negative, actually truly see it as a positive, that we are creative beings, but how do we do that so that we actually move our business forward significantly each 3 months? And then how to confidently know what to be working on so you are in control of your day. Like truly get more done in less time and have more time off to enjoy life. That is truly what it's about. More time off while you're making a significant impact for your clients and for your family financially. So let me actually I love my little annotation tools. Let me see if the pen's working. All right, look at her. This is Treadmill Terry. Like she feels like she's working, right? She's working, but she's almost in the same place. Her business isn't drastically different. So many people can relate to Treadmill Terry. So how do you get off this treadmill? That's what I want to talk about. And really we're going to attack this challenge from 3 angles. First thing is, why does she feel that way? Is she probably doesn't have any clear direction. She doesn't really know exactly where am I going. Like crystal clear. Where do I want my business to be? And how do I get there? So she just gets on the treadmill and starts running without knowing what is her destination. The second thing, and this stems from when we don't really know our destination, but one of the things that Treadmill Terry, why she feels like she's just running, is she's being so reactive. So instead, we want to be using our priorities, using whatever it is we said we wanted to be achieving in the next 3 months and where we want to be at the end of the year, using our priorities to consistently guide our work each week. But so many people don't, right? So many people are living in reactive world. We feel like we're putting out fires. We're just responding. And some of being a business owner, we are in that responding role. But I want you to flip it. I would say that when I start working with clients and we really take a look at how they're managing their time and when they're working and what they're working on, 80% of their time is responding, to emails or other people's requests, and only 20% of it is guided by what they believe are the priorities in their business. So I actually am going to encourage you to flip that around and your work week be driven by your agenda the vast majority of the time. You're in control, right? 80% of the time, what you're working on is based on your agenda. And 20% of the time, there might still be a little fire here or there, responding to emails, phone calls, those types of things. The third issue, why Treadmill Terry feels like this, is that she has all these creative ideas, right? And again, I said we don't want to limit that. That is a blessing. Not everyone has all these incredible creative ideas that you all have, right? That are coming into our minds, that we're seeing on social media or what other people are doing. And until we actually have a place to store and keep all those creative ideas, we are going to keep feeling like sidetracked Susan. So let's talk about this a bit. Let me go ahead and clear the drawings here. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's talk about these three things. So we're going to start with the first, no clear direction. So where am I going and how do I best get there? It sounds so simple, but I can tell you the mass majority of businesswomen are not clear. And really think about it as a destination. So one of the things that I do is the beginning part of every single year, it is my favorite success habit I've got. And I sit on down and I dream, I pray, I plan, and it's not this boring, 20-page project plan for my business. It's where I sit on down with an off-site meeting with myself, right, at Starbucks or your favorite coffee shop or wherever you think creatively, and I dream. And I get crystal clear on where I want to be in my business and in my life at the end of the year. Crystal clear. That's my destination. So instead of getting in my proverbial business car and just start driving January, February, and March, I want to know, where am I going? Am I going to 5400 Washington Street in Raleigh, North Carolina? If I know where I'm going, I can figure out how to get there. Make a right here, make a left there. But so many times we don't do this, and I don't know if it's because we just don't know how to do it, or we are just too busy to sit down and plan, or we just don't know how important it is. I don't know why, but I'm going to encourage you to be different. Be that top 3% that takes this critical time to plan out where you're going. And part of what your Year of Success Vision does is, as I'm sure you know, ladies, we're not superwomen. We can't do it all. We can't be all things to all people. And if we try to be all things to all people, we generally feel like we're doing nothing incredibly well. So instead, what I'm going to encourage you to do is, take off your superwoman cape, and instead, again, you create your own agenda, right? You figure out what's most important to you. What's most important to you, and do those things incredibly well. And be okay with saying no to the other things. Now, what I do when I create my Year of Success Vision, you see this pie? You could think of this is what is going to be on your plate each year. And these are the 8 categories that I use. If you're taking notes, they're business and professional development. Now, those are my only 2 business categories. The other 6 categories are me, my life, especially as women entrepreneurs, right? Isn't there such an overlap between our business and our life? And I can tell you, if some area in your life is suffering, like your health or your family finances or relationships, does it overflow to your business? Absolutely. And if your business is struggling, does it overlap? Absolutely. So these are my categories, and what I do is I figure out what do I want my business to look like at the end of the year. So I see my future self, right, Claire. It's the end of the year, and those of you who haven't done this yet, I encourage you to do it now. We just have the first quarter done. No worries. You've got the vast majority of the year to plan out. And I see my future self, and I am glowing. I am so excited, and I'm just happy and peaceful, and I feel like I've had a productive, joyful, blessed year. And the way that I do it then is I assume my future self is just describing what life looks like after a joyful, blessed, productive year. So what does my business look like? Right? Maybe I'm easily profiting $15,000 a month in my business, or maybe it's the number of clients that you're working with, or maybe a new program, you launched a program, or it's, maybe the hours that you're working, that you went down from 60 hours to working your business 20 hours, and the profit hasn't suffered at all. Maybe it is you've achieved a certain level, right? You've earned a car, whatever that might be. And then your professional development, I get a clear picture of who I am as a businesswoman, how I've maybe these great work habits that I have, or how I'm confident as a business owner. It could be something like, I've got a marketing plan that feels authentic, and I'm working my marketing plan. It could be your technical expertise in your craft, like maybe you're a massage therapist and you learned a new modality. So again, I describe it as if it's already a done deal. And then all the other categories of my life, family and relationships, right? Maybe my husband and I, we go on date night 2 times a month, and we really are each other's best friends. And Health and wellness, what does that look like? I am fit and trim at 140 pounds, and I am feeding my body with healthy fruits and vegetables. Again, how are you going to define a successful year? Personal growth, how that's different from professional development, is it's more about you as a woman, like your hobbies, filling your own bucket. Maybe you're getting massage once a month, or you're part of a book club and you love it, the engaging conversations. And what about faith and inspiration? What does that look like for you? Maybe you found a church that you love and you still look forward to church on Sundays, or a small group, or you've got that private time with God. Or finances, what does that look like? Maybe you've got a plan in place for your children's college savings. You've purchased that car without a car loan, commuting and making a difference. What would that be like? Maybe it's you're volunteering in your children's school. And so for every year, I figure out what's most important to me. What is going to be on my plate that year? Because a lot of times when we don't make conscious decisions about this, what we do, and if you can relate, is we just keep adding and adding and adding to our plate. And we feel like we're spread so thin, and then we don't get the results in business and in life. And I know, just even talking to my friends, this is something that's very common, especially around women, right? We feel like we should do it all, but we can't. But when you identify what you wanted, what's most important to you, you know what? Then you can do those things incredibly well. Now, this program is not on how to create a success vision, but just for those of you who are curious, again, I use these 8 categories, and then I actually create 3 descriptors in each of these categories. So there's 8 categories. I have 3 descriptors, right, that's really painting this crystal clear picture of what life's going to look like at the end of the year. So my success vision every year does have 24 statements. Okay, so there's 8 categories and 3 statements. But I don't know what yours might be. I wonder what your categories might be. I'm curious, do these categories resonate with you? Feel free to let me know that. So yeah, I create my success vision. And then, here, let me minimize this chat function. Let me actually get my little annotation tool here. Here is an example. This is my business category, right? So there's 8 categories. This is one of them. And this is how I do it. So here's an example. I'm easily averaging $10,000 to $15,000 profit every single month. And the women I'm mentoring are getting incredible results. I'm able to offer such personalized attention, helping them do amazing things. I have officially become highly sought after and have a steady stream of new ideal clients who want to have sales conversations with me. This is my success vision, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, all within business. Here's one about my work schedule. I've worked into a 10 to 2 schedule. Right now I work from 9 to 3:30. By the end of the year, I've worked into a 10 to 2 schedule. And I'm truly living a freedom-based lifestyle. I am living my dream life and dream business. So your success vision figures out your destination, right? Remember that push pin on the map? It's my destination. But then I want to figure out what my goals are. And I actually have this all in one document. So I've got my first quarter goals, my second quarter goals. And what I do then, this is figuring out, well, how the heck am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? And what am I going to do over the next 3 months to get there? So here was a goal for the first 90 days was that we did a January giveaway event, and I added 1,000 people to my list by the end of January. So the beginning part of January is when I sat down and said, okay, this is where I want to be at the end of the year. What makes the most sense? What things should I focus on in the next 3 months to get me there? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And again, it's a process that I encourage you to do each and every 90 days. So let me go ahead and I'm going to clear out sorry, I know my screen just went blank for a second. Here we go. Okay. Then part of your year success vision is to get really good at seeing your success vision as a done deal. So I shared how I have those 8 categories, and I have 3 descriptors in each category, so I've got 24 statements. Well, I have recorded that as an audio, and it's just me, as if I'm just having a conversation with my friend, and I'm painting a picture. I'm essentially reading those 24 statements, but I'm adding like real emotion and description to what life's going to look like at the end of the year. And I listen to that audio every day, every couple of days. And you can imagine how powerful that is. And it really helps to serve as a beacon in the storm, if you will. Those times when it's just like there's so much to do or so much I could do, I just come on back and I remind myself I can't do it all. But you know what? The things that that are the most strategic for me to work on over the next 3 months to get my business and my life where I want it to be, that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to be okay with saying no or waiting on the other things. So it really helps to keep you focused, motivated, and inspired. Again, that's a huge success habit. Not only creating your success vision, but seeing it as a done deal. Then we got to get strategic, right? So now we know where we want to be at the end of the year, but how do I get there? So how do I get my life to look like the way that I picture and envision it to be? And I love, the analogy could be if you use your smartphone and, ask Siri or just Google Maps and you're going to a destination, right? They generally give you a route A and a route B and a route C because sometimes there are multiple ways to get there. So we just want to have a strategic process so we can help think through, do I want to go route A or route B or route C? So the key thing is just thinking through possible ways to get there, and then whichever one in your gut and you're more excited about, just pick that route. And we could always course correct as we go, but the most important thing is to figure out the route, how the heck to get there. And that's where 90-day planning comes in, and I would love to give you all this visual, and I hope this visual sticks with you. But the beginning of the year, right, January of 2014, I picture myself at the beginning of this bridge. And at the end of the year, my success vision, right, I want to be at the end of the bridge. Yep, I see actually a question. The 8 categories are perfect for me. Can you give a few examples of your descriptive words? Sure, and actually this example here, this is my success. These are descriptive words for business. I've got 3 categories. So I've worked into a 10 to 2 schedule. I'm truly living a freedom-based life, living my dream life and dream business. That's one descriptor. And then I'm easily averaging $10,000 to $15,000 profit every single month. That is actually one of my descriptors. So I can even think about for family and relationships. So it's things like, my husband and I, we do have date night 2 times a month, and we have just really reunited, and we're each other's best friends. Community and making a difference. It's real important to me right now that I do volunteer in Dillon School. So that's one of my descriptive phrases, if you will, Carol, for community and making a difference. It's that I love being this engaged, involved mom that is there volunteering in Dillon's classroom. So that's part of my success vision this year. So when I see those opportunities to volunteer, especially if they're on Fridays, when Fridays are more of my optional work day, I jump on them because that's what I have consciously, proactively said will be on my plate this year. Now, there's going to be years, I'm sure, where I'm going to give all those blessings of all those volunteering opportunities to all the other parents, and something else will be my priority. But right now it is my priority. But it also helps to know, family and relationships. There's seasons of my life where I'm like, you know what, all my girlfriends, they moved, or, so there's some seasons of my life where that's a priority, is really building those relationships and getting to meet more women and really building those friendships. And so if that was a descriptor in my success vision, those would be the years that I would say yes to the book clubs or the bunkos, right? And there's other years where it's just not as much of a priority. It's still important, right? But it's just not as much of a priority. It's not the key thing that I'm going to put on my plate, knowing that next year I'll have plenty of bunko opportunities or a book club opportunities. And so hopefully that helps, Carol, as far as descriptors. But what I do is I just sit on down, I just brainstorm. I just jot all these ideas down on paper as far as where I want my business to be, professional development, family and relationships, and then as I just jot them down, it's even helpful. I have a separate sheet of paper for each of these 8 categories when I'm doing my brainstorming during my planning meeting. So I have a sheet of paper for business, and again, I'm just jotting down random things, and then I sort of categorize them. They sort of are grouped together, and that's how I come up with the 3 descriptors. So perfect. Okay, great. Okay, how do we get – so here's the visual. So at the end of the year, I want to get to the end of the bridge. And every year, I create for myself a new gap, right? There is a difference between where I'm at and where I want to be. Every year, even when like 2013 was great. It was a great year for me. But you know what? I start fresh in the year, and I purposely create a new gap, right? I figure out, okay, now where am I at, and where do I want to be at the end of the year? And for some people, there's discomfort in that. There's discomfort in that gap, right? Because they're like, I just want to get there. I want to get to the end of the bridge now. And some people get so overwhelmed by that where they just sit on down at the beginning part of the bridge. They feel so overwhelmed they just don't even take steps across that bridge. But I want to encourage you not to see it overwhelming. And you're just going to take that bridge bit by bit by bit. And I like to take it 3 months at a time. And so I don't see my success vision as, I just drew a blank on the word. You know what people create in January? Not affirmations. What the heck do they create? I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to do this. New Year's resolutions. Ooh, New Year's resolutions. My success vision are not New Year's resolutions. They're not things that I'm saying I'm going to do all of these things now instantly. It's just by the end of the year, I'm going to grow into these things. This is the place that I'm going to be. So I don't get overwhelmed. I just take it 3 months at a time. And at 3 months, I say, okay, now what? What are some of the steps I can take to close this gap between where I'm at and where I want to be? And I just start taking steps across that bridge. Even if they're imperfect, I'm not going to just sit on down and be overwhelmed. I'm just going to put steps, foot in front of foot, one at a time, and take steps across that bridge. So here is how you can think about your planning. So let me go ahead and get the pen here. You've got high-level strategic – oh, my pen's not working, the annotation tool. That's okay. You've got high-level strategic thinking, which is what we're talking about, right? Your success vision, where you want to be at the end of the year, that's high-level strategic thinking. Your 90-day goals, how are you going to get there? High-level thinking. And we actually want to bring that high-level thinking down to your day-to-day decisions. So what you're working on is truly moving your 90-day goals forward. So let's talk about that a bit more, because that's the biggest thing that you're probably wondering, right? Well, every 90 days when I sit on down with a fresh set of 3 months, what should I be working on? What should I be working on? So it's because I'm not saying just work on what you're most comfortable with, because when we're left to ourselves, we generally work with what we're most comfortable with, right? Which, again, a lot of the time is behind the scenes. I've been working on my website. I've been reorganizing my office. It's also not just doing what everyone else tells you should be doing. Just because your friend Judy has a blog and she says you got to be blogging or you've got to be on Google+, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should be working on. The key is about strategically figuring out what your business most needs over the next 3 months. What does your business most need over the next 3 months? So I want to go ahead and brainstorm. I'm going to help you think through what the goals might be for you. So those of you, if you printed out the handout, pull that out. If not, just pull out a blank sheet of paper. This is the brainstorming activity that I go through each 90 days when I have a whole, you almost get, a do-over, and you've got a fresh 3 months. These are the questions that I ask myself. So I encourage you to pull out a pen and paper and start jotting down some things. Just brainstorming. These are not your commitments. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, do you have any unfinished loops? Like things that have been nagging at you, that unfinished business. Like maybe you're like, oh, I still don't have that website up and running. Or I've been meaning to get a newsletter sent out to my clients. Or, I've been wanting to create this program. Like, is there any of these unfinished loops that it's just been nagging at you and probably robbing more of your creativity, insanity, and peace level than you even know? So jot that down. any of the things that you've been meaning to do or meaning to finish, and it's nagging at you. From there, there might be some good things to work on there over the next 90 days. The next thing I'm going to ask you is to take a look at your sales and marketing funnel. Each 90 days, look at ways you can bring in the money. Where is your sales and marketing funnel clogged? I'm actually going to show you what I mean by a sales and marketing funnel. But for some of you, you might not even have a sales and marketing funnel fully up and running. So that's where I'd focus. Where is it even non-existent? Or maybe you do have your sales and marketing funnel up and running. And I would ask myself, well, how can I start maybe repairing it or streamlining it or automating it or maximizing it? Now, I do have a sales and marketing funnel up and running, but I can tell you that every 90 days, I want to relook at my sales and marketing funnel because every 90 days there are absolutely ways where I can perfect it, where I can streamline it, where I can make it better. So I'm going to walk you through the 3 main parts of your sales and marketing funnel, and I want you to be jotting down notes as far as maybe where it's not existent or it's clogged, because if we have holes in our sales and marketing funnel or parts that are completely not even there, it is nearly impossible to have a profitable business. We want to have leads flowing through our sales and marketing funnel that become paying clients. All right, so what is a sales and marketing funnel? The very top part, you see those arrows. Let me make sure my annotation tool is not working because, still not working. Sorry about that. That's okay. I'll just describe where we're at. So the very, very top, you see those arrows. Ask yourself, in your business, are you meeting a consistent, steady stream of new, hungry, ideal leads each and every month? And if not, very well, the top part of your funnel might be broken. You might not have a marketing plan. That comes from a marketing plan and knowing like your 3 core marketing strategies and doing those things consistently, right? Having about 15 to 20 ongoing marketing activities that you know that you do each week, each month, each quarter. And I want to have at least, 100 to 200 new ideal leads entering the top part of my funnel each and every month. So jot that down. If that's not happening, then that would be a great commitment over the next 90 days, is to create a marketing plan. Get some pen to paper and create a marketing plan. Or maybe you're like, Claire, that's not the issue. I'm meeting tons and tons of ideal clients. Maybe it's the second thing, that they're entering your funnel, but you're not keeping in touch. You're not deepening the relationship with them. I like to call it, dating your list, dating your leads. So for me, my business, I have a lot of local clients, but a lot of my clients I've never even physically met, right? They're all over the United States. So when my dating strategy, if you will, is an email. Every Thursday I'm going to appear in their email inbox with some training tips or an article or a video or something. So I'm dating my list. If we don't have that middle part of the funnel, some type of dating strategy, and for all of us, that dating strategy is going to be different depending on what you sell and your ideal client and your personality. But if you don't have that, they're all escaping from your sales and marketing funnel. Or you may be thinking, Claire, that's not the issue. I'm meeting lots of new ideal clients, new leads. I'm dating them, right? I'm keeping in touch, but nobody's buying. Then the bottom part of your funnel is broken. Somewhere that sales conversion is broken. Maybe what you have to offer. Like a lot of times I see coaches and I go to their website and it's the way they're describing. They're describing like hourly rates, and people aren't buying hourly rates. They're buying the solution. So it could be their sales page is broken. Or maybe it's truly that what they're selling is requiring a conversation, and they don't have that mechanism in place. Or they're not even asking for the sale. Somehow that sales conversion is broken. So ask yourself, where are you either non-existent, and please share too in the chat function. Maybe parts that you see, ooh man, I don't think I have that part of my sales and marketing funnel up and running. We want to get that up and running as soon as possible. So that's the second thing I do, is I want to take a look at my sales and marketing funnel. And the third thing I'm going to ask myself is I'm going to look at the way that I've been working. I'm going to say, which of my habits have been tripping me up? Like, where are my systems broken? So to do that, ask yourself about that. And there's times where my work habits might slip, right? Ask yourself, how are you managing your time? Are you organized or not? Are you processing your stuff? Like, or is your inbox overflowing and papers on your desk is overflowing? You know, are you planning out your work, or are you living in reactive mode? What about managing the finances and paperwork of your business? So jot that down. So maybe some work habits that have slipped, that have become unproductive. So that's what I like to look at. Let me actually go back to this slide. I'm going to jot down, do I have any unfinished business? You know, those things are nagging at me. I want to take a look at my sales and marketing funnel and see where, if there's parts that are non-existent or parts that I can repair or perfect. Like I said, I have all three parts of the sales and marketing funnel up and running, and it's working well. But every 90 days, I can absolutely get better and better and better. And the third thing I'm going to do is look at any of my unproductive habits that might be tripping me up. So after I do that brainstorming, it's from there that I'm going to identify my 90-day goals. And for some of you, it makes the most sense over the next 90 days to focus on just getting your business off life support. Like, it is, your business might be struggling. You know, you're not making any money, or you're making $500 a month or $1,000 a month. We would want to look at how to bring in the cash, right? Forget about the tagline. How do you actually start having conversations with people and getting new clients? And for some of you, it might truly be that organization is a priority, because you might be drowning like this lady and be like, oh my gosh, I just feel so disorganized, I can't even think. I just cannot even think. So that could be the right priority for you. Or for some of you, your businesses might be doing great financially. You're bringing in $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, but you feel like you are about to fall apart at the seams, right? So for some of you, it might just be about getting systems in place, getting some processes in place, getting some help, right? Outsourcing. So for all of you, where you're at in your business and what it most needs is different, but just pick a route. Just pick a route. So a lot of people want to know, well, how many goals about, Claire, would I have each 90 days? And your business goals, again, you know, I've got business and I've got professional development. Those are my two business categories. And I suggest around 4 to 6 each 90 days. And I don't care if you call them goals or projects or priorities or commitments or whatever. But after you do that brainstorming activity, just pick some. Pick a route, whichever seems most strategic, that you're excited about. Definitely would encourage you to limit like any, well, I should have a blog, or I've got to do cold calling. Limit that. If you're not excited about it, do you really think you're going to do it? And remember that your goals, again, is about the activity that you're going to do. Your success vision, right, painted a really clear picture of what life is looking like at the end of the year, where you're going to be. But your 90-day goals talks about how you're going to get there. So the actual work that's required, the work that is required. And some people may have preconceived notions about goals or hang-ups, right? Some people may be thinking, oh, Claire, I just don't like goals because what if I don't achieve them? And I can tell you, I don't feel bad if I fall short on a goal. I give myself a whole bunch of grace as long as I feel like I planned it out, right? I figured out where I want to be at the end of the year. I created some concrete 4 to 6 deliverables in my business over the next 3 months, and I kept working from those goals, and I kept saying, okay, now what? Now what? What can I do to move these goals forward? If I fall short, I don't beat myself up. I probably would beat myself up if I felt like I created the goals and I forgot what they were, 2 weeks later, and I wasn't using them as a driving point. But I don't feel bad. What if I made the goal like 90% towards the goal? That's 90% more than most people do. So I don't beat myself up. Or what if you lose motivation for a particular goal? I am one, and that's happened to me before. It seemed like it was the right goal. But as I was going in, I was like, I don't know if this is really the right thing for me to be doing. I can tell you, for me, my personal philosophy is not one. I'm not going to say, oh, but Claire, I set the goal. I bet or else I'm a failure. If I lose my motivation for a goal, I may delete it or tweak it. Now, it's not something I want to be doing with all my goals every 90 days because there's a whole other issue around that, right? But these goals, it's not about this boring goal-setting process, right? It's about getting across the bridge and just thinking through strategically the best steps to take to get there. And if something seemed like it made sense, but it doesn't seem like the best thing to get me to the end of the bridge, I can tweak it. Or again, you might think like, I don't like goals. Again, I don't know. Call it whatever you want. Projects, commitments, deliverables, steps across the bridge. Call it whatever and just know what the process is. The process is I want to get there. I want to get to the end of the bridge as quickly and painlessly as possible. And then when we can really focus on those commitments, that's what it's about. It's the simple things done consistently that bring us success. So our goals don't have to be these big, huge, oh my gosh, earth-shattering. They're just thinking through strategically how to get to the end of the bridge. Okay. So that's the first part. Clear direction. Where am I going and how do I get there? And then we want to use those priorities to consistently guide our work each week, right? We want to take consistent steps each week to get across the bridge. So it takes consistent effort. You don't want to create these goals, like I said, and have it on a file on your computer where you print them out and you put them in a drawer. You want that to be guiding your agenda each week. Accountability is huge. Whether you have a coach or you're part of a mastermind group or you and another business owner have become an accountability partner. For some, it takes rewards, right? When you achieve that deliverable or that goal of the project, rewarding yourself with something. I'm not particularly huge on rewards, but I know a lot of people are. For me, it's just the act of getting to the end of the bridge. And when you do that enough each year and you get to the end of the bridge, for me, that's motivation enough, just knowing this process works. And for me, just by simply knowing that, okay, these are the goals, these are what I believe is going to get me to the end of the bridge, and I just work off my goal list or what I call my project list each week. That keeps me focused. So if we want to get down to the bottom, how do we actually take this high-level strategic thinking of our success vision and our 90-day goals to guide our day-to-day decisions? So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, let me open up the chat feature, have ever heard of David Allen's Getting Things Done. But so let me know if you have. I love David Allen's Getting Things Done. It is a 5-step organization model that I could probably talk about for about 5 hours, but we won't do that. But it is phenomenal, and I'm a big believer in David Allen's Getting Things Done. It's a very simple 5-step process. But his 4th step is what's called, good, Christine has, the 4th step is what's called a weekly review meeting, which I like to call my sanity meetings, and I have them every Monday morning from 9 to 11. Some of my clients like to call them the getting ready for vacation meetings because I don't know if you've ever gotten ready to go on vacation for a week. You get busy that last day in the office, right? You're wrapping things up. You're getting current. You're figuring out what all your commitments are. Do you need to renegotiate any commitments? What need to be done now? What can wait? So again, I call them my sanity meetings. And at a very high level, what I do every Monday morning is I'm going to first look at my calendar. I'm going to look at my calendar from last week. A lot of times just by looking at the landscape of my calendar and where I was at, I may say, oh, gosh, I had a meeting with, a meeting with Judy. I'd really like to send her a thank you card. So that's a to-do. Send Judy a thank you card. And then I look at my upcoming week. Let me map out the week. Oh, I'm giving a presentation on Friday. What do I need to do? Create a presentation. Print out the handout. Load the presentation onto my laptop. Right? So those all could be to-dos. Another thing I do is I get my email inbox down to 0. So not that I've done everything in those emails, but I get them down to 0. I process them. I look at each email and say, do I need to do anything with this? And if so, if it's a to-do, I get it on my to-do list. But how this all ties in with this conversation is I've got a projects list, which are all my projects. Each of my goals I consider a project. I'm going to look through my project list weekly and just say, now what? Now what? So if I'm going to do this giveaway event to add 1,000 people to my list, and that's a project, I'll say, now what? What am I going to do now? What do I need to do to move this forward, and when am I going to do it? And those individual now whats become actions. And I use a system. I know it's a little blurry, especially when I can't use my annotation tool, but this is a tool. It was a free tool. They look like they're going to a paid service, but I will pay it happily, and it's called IQTell, IQTELL, IQTELL.com. But essentially, on the left-hand side here, first of all, I have all my email. So I probably have like 6 different emails, but they all come into IQTell, so I do not check them separately. My calendar is here, which is tied to my iPhone. And most importantly, I've got an actions list and a projects list. My actions list are all of my to-dos. It's not a daily to-do list. It's all my to-dos, business and personal, whether I'm going to do it today or next Friday or in 2 weeks. But if you see on the top, you'll have those 2 arrows. The second arrow is what it says do today. And there was 8 things. So whenever I took this screenshot, there were 8 of my to-dos that I said I was going to do on this particular day. Those to-dos, you could see if I'm doing a weekly review meeting every Monday morning and I'm looking at my goals and saying now what, and I'm creating to-dos or actions out of that. When I create an action, I say what am I going to do and when am I going to do it? So my daily to-dos are being driven by my agenda. They're being driven by my 90-day goals. So that is huge, and that's how I guide what I'm going to be doing each day. So it brings it down to, keeping those goals front and center, which I, again, see on my projects list that I'm going to look at every single week, and I get really good at saying, what are the very next steps? Now what? Now what? What can I do to move this goal forward? And that, again, is guiding my daily work, which is huge. And one thing I'm going to encourage y'all is you probably have seen this time map, which is I wanted to say David, but Stephen Covey. And most of us spend the majority of our time on the upper left quadrant, which are important things, and they're urgent, right? Putting out fires, we're spending a lot of time there. We're also spending a lot of unnecessary time in quadrant 3. They're really not important. They're not things that have to be done today. They are not really particularly moving forward our agenda, but they seem important. Like a phone ringing seems urgent because it's ringing. But I have no problems with letting my ringing phone go into voicemail if I'm working on something. I'll check it and I'll call them back. But if I did that, I would let their agenda be ruling, right? I know not everyone can do that, but that just gives you an example. Or emails that come in. They seem urgent because they're filling up in your email inbox. Not necessarily important. But the top right, they're super important, but it's not urgent, right? That's when you can focus more there, that's going to move your business forward. It's not urgent, but it's important. It's those things that are your 90-day goals. And the more we can, again, create our daily agenda around that, that's magical, ladies. That's truly magical, really focusing there. And then last but not least, it's about, having a place to store all those creative ideas that I said that we want to keep coming. And we do. We want them to keep coming. So we want to be able to capture those ideas that you have. I get my great ideas, in the shower or while I'm driving, and we want to get them off of our minds. Unfortunately, what we do now is we get sidetracked, right? That shiny object syndrome. We go from thing to thing to thing because we don't want to lose that idea. Instead, if we can get that cool idea about a new tool or a new strategy we want to try or this or that, get it off of our minds and have it handy when you're getting ready for the next 90 days, review all those creative ideas and see which of them you can use to create, your new set of 90-day goals. A lot of times, first of all, just by simply getting it off my mind, I get it on my list, it gives me such peace. And then I focus on what I was doing. And a lot of times then it's going to save time when I create a new set of 90-day goals because I already have all these cool things I was collecting all 3 months. And sometimes, or many times, I look at that idea and I was like, ooh, that doesn't even sound like a good idea. It did at the time, so I'm so glad that I didn't let it get me sidetracked, right, that I stuck with my agenda. So how I do that is, again, this is a screenshot of IQTell, and on the left-hand side were those lists that I was talking about, like actions and projects. But there's a list that I have which is called Someday. And that's where I capture all these creative ideas that I might someday want to do, or a book recommendation that I might want to read. And it's so easy for me to quickly get something into a someday category. And they've got down here on the bottom left, you'll see IQTel's got a web clipper. So maybe I'm surfing the web and I see a really cool recipe. I just right-click on it, and it goes into I can send it to my someday category. So all my recipes that I might want to try, or a cool idea, like maybe there's a cool product, maybe a training product, but I don't need to do it right now. Maybe someday I'd like to, learn all about Pinterest, so I'll just clip it, and I get it into my someday category. So I'm not going to lose it. So that's another reason I love IQTel. But it could be whatever. I mean, it could be a simple manila folder. You have creative ideas or quarterly goals or something, and as you have these ideas, print it out or just jot it down on an index card and just stuff it into the simple manila folder. And then, again, when it's time to create a new set of 90-day goals, look through that manila folder. Or put on an Excel spreadsheet, or Evernote, it could be a great capture tool for those creative ideas. But we do want to find something. We do want to have a way that we let those creative ideas keep coming. We capture them, but we stay focused on our agenda, on getting across that bridge. So that's what it's about, right? Instead of feeling like treadmill Terry, you could feel like her, relaxed Rita, productive Paula, happy Helen, whatever you want to call her. And she knows where she wants to be at the end of the year. And strategically, she figures out every 90 days how she might get there, what her route might be, right? Those 4 to 6 commitments. Then she uses those goals or commitments or deliverables or projects or whatever you want to call them, and she reviews them weekly. And she says, now what? Now what? What can I do to move these forward, which become to-dos, right? And lastly, as she's working on her agenda, she's got some system in place, whether it's just pen and paper in a manila folder that says, creative ideas, whatever it might be. She's got a place to store this that gives her such peace and allows her, again, to take that advantage of the fact that she's a super creative individual. So I have confidence in you, ladies. I do. I do not want you to be like 97% of business women who are working, but they don't know if they're working on the right things. They're getting overwhelmed. I have confidence in you. You can be that top 3%. So do it. Plan. I encourage you, after this webinar, sit down. Create your year's success vision. Create 4 to 6 business goals or priorities. Get clear about the activity. What are you going to do by when to start? What are those steps across the bridge you're going to take over the next 3 months? So we want to plan, and we got to execute, right? So find some sort of accountability. Again, I encourage you to read David Allen's Getting Things Done. If you haven't, find some type of tool that works for you, some type of organizational model that works for you. And you can check out IQTel, which is that system that I use. That's my lifesaver, IQTELL.com. And that truly is a differentiating factor. Ladies, it absolutely is a differentiating factor between this top left, overwhelmed Olivia, who's like, I have so much to do, I don't even know where to focus, and the productive Paula on the bottom right. It's that the productive Paula has learned how to plan in a very fun, non-structured way. She's just figured out, I want to get to the end of the bridge. How can I get across the bridge? And I'm here to help as well. I wanted to share with you the Accountability Club. Right now, I just opened up a brand new group, the Accountability Club. It's only for 20 women to work personally with me, and it's only for people who really want to work their businesses in the next 90 days. It's not a training program. It's let's get our butts in gear over the next 90 days and figure out what your business most needs, and let me give you support, direction, and motivation to make your plan a done deal. So the way it works, yes, you do get training, but it's not a training program, meaning as soon as you access the club, you'll get instant access to the training vault, everything is there, right? How to create a marketing plan, how to organize your time. But the most important critical aspect of this is your 3-month success plan. So you and I would actually have a private 90-minute strategy session. We're going to determine what your business most needs. We'll create your 3-month success plan and your right goals. And once we have that plan and you review the plan and you say, yep, Claire, this is it. This is my plan, then your 90 days of support starts. through weekly accountability. I'm going to check in with you each week. How are you doing? Where are you stuck? Type of thing. We're also, as a group, going to have check-ins. So we have a group webinar each Monday from 12 to 1. And that's where I'm going to see how you're doing. I'll be like, okay, Judy, I know you're redesigning your website in the next couple of weeks. How's it going? Where are you stuck? So again, that's really the continued accountability, support, direction. And then a super supportive, active Facebook group with the other 19 women in the group. You're going to share your weekly commitments there. You're going to support each other, share ideas. It's also for me to provide answers and coaching throughout the week. So you have access to me multiple ways. Again, the key is for your 3-month success plan to be a done deal, figuring out your plan and making it happen. So I encourage you to join us. You can actually just go to my website, claireluffman.com, and you'll see the tab. But again, it's called the Accountability Club. So it's going to be a club for women business owners who are serious about achieving massive results by doing less work in a place where you can gather for direction and support and accountability. So that is it, ladies. I want to see what questions you have. Let me actually go back to this slide. This one here, where it says this is really what it's about, right? Any questions you have about the direction, your success vision and your goals, or then how you use your goals to guide your work each week, or how you then have a process to capture all the creative ideas that come to you. Any questions about that? And feel free to be thinking about it. I'm actually going to be sending out the replay. So you'll have my email. I'll send out the replay. I'll send out a link to the Accountability Club. If you think of any questions in the meantime about this, just let me know. Just shoot me back a quick email. Because, again, I do have confidence in you, absolutely. And this is the differentiating factor. It truly is. It's this habit around planning out your work and then executing on that plan, which every single one of you has the ability to do. You do. So don't be overwhelmed, Olivia. Be productive, Paula. All right, one last thing and see if there's any questions here. Nope, I think we're good, and then we're at the hour. So you ladies, you have a great, great day. I appreciate you taking this hour out of your day to spend it with me. Again, I'll send out the recording and see what other questions you have. And you guys have a good one. Oh, wait, question, sorry. My question is how to get started. Do we need a product or service first to offer? Nope, absolutely not, Christine. We'd figure out where your business is, right? That's where the one-on-one plan is going to come in. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach with your success plan. So I've got folks in the club who just started their business. They're brand new. And there's folks in the club that are making $20,000 a month, right? And their focus is different. Their focus is more than the next 90 days will be more on creating the processes and the systems in place and getting the right type of help. If you are just getting started, it's more about figuring out, your marketing message, getting a marketing plan up and running. Way before you even have a product or service to offer, I started building a community and working my marketing plan before I even had anything to offer. And actually, that's the best way to go about it. Believe it or not, Christine, there are so many people, they focus so much on that product, right? They get together this great group program. It's an 8-week coaching program, and they spent all their efforts on designing that, and then they're like, oh, I have no one to sell this to. Where, they didn't build a community. They weren't working a marketing plan. And that takes time to do, right, to build that know, like, and trust factor. So you want to actually be doing that first or alongside figuring out what your product or service is. So great question, Christine. Yeah, and that's where your success plan, our one-on-one, would come into, because everyone's success plan is going to look different in the Accountability Club. So great. Wonderful. Any other questions, ladies? Okay. Well, then we will end here, and you guys have a great one. Again, thanks so much for calling in, and we'll talk soon. Bye, ladies. Thank you. Bye.